Good evening! If you are the type of person who is never happy when you are succeeding or when you finish something, if you always strive to be better and better and focus on those little things that sometimes go wrong, if you can't start certain things because you're procrastinating, you're a world-class procrastinator, then you might be suffering under something called perfectionism. And today we are talking about the dark side of perfectionism. This is Andreas here from Asia Mind Dynamics, and it's a series about Let's Talk NLP. And today, as I mentioned, it's about perfectionism. So let's get started. I do know somebody is here already. Say hello, please, so I do know that you are here. Tell me from where you are. If you are from Malaysia or anywhere else, it would be lovely, of course. Like this video. You have given me your heart already. That is lovely, lovely, lovely. Don't expect this video to be perfect. This Facebook Live video, even though we are talking today about perfectionism and the feeling of perfectionism. And I gotta tell you that when I started up preparing for this Facebook Live video, I thought it's an easy topic. I thought it's like really like, let's just not wing it. I always like to prepare, but it shouldn't be too tough, too difficult. And then I started to study it. And I realized, whoa, there are lots of medical aspects behind even about perfectionism. And that's when I thought like, hey, I gotta really prepare for this video. So I have lots of papers here that partially I actually have to read to you because it's kind of easy to describe, but medical at all as well. Some medical expressions, which I think is sometimes very important to know. If you like what you're gonna hear, hey, I know it's not gonna be perfect. It shall not be perfect, okay? But like this video gives me as many hugs as you can, likes as you can, hearts as you can. Share this video on your timeline. Invite your friends over, because I realized in preparing for this session, it is an important topic, and it's really crucially for many people around us to learn more about the dark side of perfectionism. So we haven't started yet. Hey, yes, Cairo, yay, Mohammed Cairo, thank you very much. Good evening to you. Appreciated you are here. Ask me all the questions that you have about perfectionism. I help you as much as I can. As I mentioned, I've got all these papers here. So yes, I do know some people are on the show already. Mohammed, Cairo, great to see you. I hope I pronounced your name correctly or so. Let's not be perfect tonight. That's the most important part, okay? Let's just go ahead. Now, what I want to share with you is when I prepared this video, I watched a couple of videos online. And there was one video of a young girl. She gave a speech about her own personal situation that really was close to my heart, that really touched me very much. And she said like that she was in school. It was a young girl in her 20s, I believe, all right? She was in school, in mid-level school, somewhere early teens. And then one day her parents told her something that really changed her life in a negative fashion. Her parents actually asked her or compared her to her sister and said like that, hey, you are great and you are striving really hard and you are really perfect, and I hope you're gonna do better than your sister. These couple of little words, something along that line, kind of enter that girl's mind. and became a program running that she started to study. She wanted to be perfect. She aced everything. She aced. That's really great. Everything. Now, what she was doing when she was acing in every part, her intention was she always wanted to be at the top of everything. That is good. Everybody wants to be at the top of everything. We strive. We are striving to be better. Many people say be better today than you were yesterday and be better tomorrow. I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about this kind of compulsed feeling of not, and I'm defining perfectionism in just a moment, of really not being good enough when it's not perfect. Having this undefined standard in the mind that one can never really reach. And she said, like one night she was sitting down and she was preparing something for school and she wrote an A4 page of sentences and paragraphs. She wrote something on an A4 page. It took her 12 hours to complete writing down on this A4 page. And I'm getting the numbers wrong what I'm saying next, but the message was like this. She didn't quite write for 12 hours. That was only part of the job. But she said something like 4 hours. She cried because she thought like she will never be able to put enough words onto the paper to make it stand out to be perfect. She ran around in her house ripping out her hair, so to speak. I'm not sure about the English word right now. Trying to get it done. Focusing on, I can't do it. And another couple of hours, she said, like she was rocking on her bed and having the thoughts in her mind like, how do I get it done? How do I get it done? I'll never get it done. And only a few hours was she able to really focus on putting words together, and she still thought of not getting it done correctly, perfectly well, as she actually intended to have. It is a terrible thing, having this wheels of not being good enough, of must try to be perfect, getting everything perfect, running in the mind. Do I make sense to you? Do you know people like this in your life? If you know people like this in your life, just type in a yes. Then I do know that I talk some sense. If you even have those tendencies, hang on, because it's getting better here as we continue in this video, in this Facebook Live. All right, somebody was just clicking something. I would love to see what I can do here. Yes, I know people like that. Yes, my darling wife is online as well. All right, okay, good. And it's terrible. Ask me any questions you want to have in this level, all right? Let's define perfectionism. What is actually perfectionism? Let's see how that goes when we are... And I was doing the research online, and here's the definition coming from Wikipedia. Perfectionism is a personality trait characterized by a person's striving for flawlessness, setting high performance standards, accompanied by critical self-evaluation concerns regarding others' evaluation. That is a pretty heavy definition, isn't it? Now, it's a personality trait. I'm not sure if it's a personality trait, but it's a pretty heavy stuff. Striving for flawlessness. No failure is allowed. No mistake is allowed. Every mistake is seen as terrible. Setting high performance standards. Perfect must be is a rule of the day, accompanied by critical self-evaluation. How did I perform here? Am I doing well? Am I doing bad? And concerns regarding others. What will others think about me in this situation? Now, perfectionism is not bad, because it is terrible not to be perfect if you're a doctor. I'd rather have a heart surgeon or a doctor or a dentist who is perfect in their profession, but they are not battling against the perceived perfectionism, want to be perfect. They have perfected the art of being good in what they're doing right now. Athletes want to be perfect as well, but we are talking about athletes in a while. Teachers should be perfect as well in teaching, in accomplishing, in perfecting the art on which they are putting their mental focus and striving to get better and better there. Earlier on, we talked to somebody, she wants to become a psychologist. It's not just being a psychologist, but you want to be a good psychologist. You want to perfect the art of being a great psychologist. I'm a trainer. I'm striving for perfection in my skill of teaching people the art and science of the beauty of NLP. I want to create excellence in their life, in my life. So I'm striving for perfection. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about two forms of, my paper is coming out here. Two forms, namely the maladaptive form. I should have written this down. Maladaptive form. Perfectionism drives people to attempt to achieve an unattainable ideal or unrealistic goal of perfection. Never good enough. And it has impact on their life, on how they're running their life. Hang on to learn more about it. Adaptive perfectionism can sometimes motivate them to reach their goal. There are different forms. Now, perfectionism is really about when we are starting to compare us with other people. If our work is not good enough. So let me share with you, let me share with you the different level of where it can have a major impact in your life. And I hope you guys watching this right now like what you are hearing. Share this video again. Give me a comment. I want to hear something from you guys. I want to be a perfect Facebook live session here, of course. Let's boost it out to have more people learn about this NLP presupposition we are sharing as well about there's no failure, only feedback, because perfectionism want or can't stand perceived failure. So where is it setting in? Let's talk about workplace or school. See, people who are perfectionistic at work or in school, they might take longer. Actually, imagine that. They might take longer in accomplishing a task. Why is it the case? I believe you can count 1 + 1 together and knowing already. They don't want to get started, or they take longer because it's never perfect. It's fine-tuning, it's stressing yourself out, it's making it more beautiful, it's adjusting the sentences to the most beautiful piece. Yes, that's perfectionism, and then not finishing it on time, starting late because also always wanting to find more stuff to add on, wants to have that perfect script, that perfect essay, that perfect anything before they get started. And then sometimes they procrastinate endlessly because of perfectionism. Sometimes it holds them back. They're raising the bar so high up that they don't want to even get started on that one. Because they're saying, I'm not good enough to reach that bar anyway. Why shall I start? Procrastinating till the end of time. Sometimes they procrastinate not just because of a habit, but it's a program of, I'm failing anyway, and if I'm not succeeding perfectly well, then others going to criticize me. It's terrible, isn't it? So they are oftentimes not getting started, or abundant project after project after project, because I don't want to get started, because I can fail, and I don't want to reach that. I won't reach that high level, and I'm not good enough to get started on that level. It's terrible. The next part where it's impacting our life, intimate relationship or friendships. Because your partner should be perfect, must be perfect, act perfect, dress perfectly well. They're putting this standard onto their partners that their partner can never reach. That means a partner is constantly exposed to ongoing criticism of not meeting that standard of that high perfectionistic person. And if you don't reach my standard, so to speak, you better get out of my life. Marriages break up, relationship breaks up, sex doesn't take place because it puts pressure onto the perfect sexual relationship. Physical activities, even that one for your environment. Where am I right now? Your environment. Hi, I nearly forgot one thing. Your environment. Perfectionism needs to have the perfect environment. Everything lined up perfectly well. It's kind of related to most likely compulsive obsession. Everything needs to be lined up. Everything needs to be cleaned up. If not, it can cause these individuals to spend a lot of time in cleaning up and organizing. It must look perfect. The next one. Hygiene and health. Where is this one right now? Perfectionism can cause hygienic and health problems. Of course, you're getting more afterwards on this one, but I was reading and it was like shocking. They gave an example. Some of those who are suffering under perfectionism might stop brushing their teeth because they failed to prevent the disease. So they are not brushing anymore because they can't get the perfect health into their body. So it might lead even to eating disorders along that line because they are also compelled to stick to a healthy diet, want to be incredibly healthy, can't eat anything else which is not healthy enough. So because they must be perfect everywhere. Even the cleanliness, okay, teeth was one example, not stopping brushing the teeth, even that one. But some people might clean even more intensively because there might be a little bit dirt somewhere on the skin. It's horrible, isn't it? Next one is also writing and speaking. I described it earlier a little bit, writing and speaking, because they don't want to go for writing and speaking, or they have a hard time getting it done because of the perfectionism. It must be perfect before I start doing something. So it's not like this Facebook Live here, for example, where I just blabber, but every single word should be memorized. Otherwise, I'm not perfect. And don't I dare to forget something because, hey, it could be, wow, horrifying to other people. How would I look like if I forget something? Perfectionism impacts us on this level. Physical writing and speaking have already physical appearances. Excessive grooming and styling, because I need to look perfect. And if you think about how many youngsters nowadays compare themselves to the ideal image that they need to have, comparing themselves to stars who can spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on grooming and looking good and styling and fashion, and youngsters who want to imitate those ideals can never reach them. But I want to be perfect, so I'm not eating. I want to take care of my physical appearance because I want to be as good as my idol. Now when I'm realizing I can't measure that standard of reaching that standard of my ideal, of the Justin Biebers, of the Rihannas, of the Lady Gagas, and whoever else comes to your mind. If I realize I can't reach it, I might just totally give up because I am not good enough. I can't be as good, as perfect as them. And if I try and I fail, friends of mine will judge me again. So I don't want to go even there, and I neglect my physical appearance. And some of them might end up getting bullied because, hey, they are not even measuring up anymore. Measuring up anymore their friends' standard of the friends' ideal life. And then they get belittled by their friends, bullied by their friends because they are not good enough for their group. That's what they believe. And then the physical experience gets even lower and they're not speaking anymore. They're retreating more and more because they're failing to meet their inner drive for perfectionism and knowing I can't make it happen anyway. It is really, really heavy. Let's go really. Who else do we have here? One person is still watching. Thank you very much. Give me a like, okay? Give me a comment. I would love to hear from you on how it goes with this video. All right? Because it's great to have at least share this video. It's important for people to know about how terrible perfectionism can be and the impact it can actually have. So now let's go through the 3 different types. Whoa, the 3 different types. One is good, one is medium, and one is terrible. And really, I have to somewhat read that out to you on my beautiful piece of paper that I have written here. We have the self-oriented type. We have the socially prescribed type. Research has identified that in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. And then we have the other-oriented type. Now what do we have here? Self-oriented type have exceedingly high personal standards, strive for perfection, and expect themselves to be perfect. Now they have a pro-social element within themselves still. Because even though they focus on themselves, they show an interest in other people. They care about social norms and about other people's expectations. So it's something okay with these guys, the self-oriented perfectionism. They have affiliate, they have humor, good humor, and it can enhance relationship. It's pretty cool. And they shy away from aggressive joke. It's cool, all right? And they derive a sense of joy from their efforts they have achieving. And they have self-motivation, and they have this joy increases their self-esteem. So they are pretty cool off. So they're actually getting better at work and in their performance, the self-oriented type. That's pretty okay, the cool dude industry. Now let's go to the other guy. The socially prescribed type, the one here right now in the middle part. They make jokes that belittle themselves. They have a low self-esteem, low self-regard, and often feel inferior. They can be quite antisocial and unemotional and do not respond well to positive feedback because they are comparable to neurotic perfectionists. They don't derive pleasure from their labors and efforts and tend to view their work as inadequate or inferior. They report they're feeling pressure from the external environment on coercion, I'm not sure if that's correct now, to accomplish tasks. They have a strong fear of failure and a desire to avoid embarrassment, shame, and guilt. So they are still kind of okay. Now we are getting to the hardcore part, all right? The other-oriented type. And you don't... they are disparaging and judgmental about others. They are judging others constantly. Not only do they expect other people to be perfect, but they can also be highly critical of those who fail to meet their expectations. And they have this dark triad, and it was fascinating to read about it. The dark triad, personality traits of narcissism, Machiavellism, and psychopathy. Now, Machiavellism, let me just share with you what it is, because my pronunciation most likely terrible. In psychology, it refers to a personality trait which sees a person so focused on their own interests they will manipulate, deceive, and exploit others to achieve their goals. Is one of the traits in what is called the dark triad. The other two are being narcissism and psychopathy. Whoa, are these nice guys to be around? I don't know. But these are heavy guys, you know. And what's happening to them as well? They have issues with intimacy, nurturing, and social development. Other-oriented perfectionists in turn have a quite an aggressive sense of humor, which is used at the expense of others, so it's belittling others more. They have many uncaring traits that makes them discard the expectations of others and social norms. They have a sense of superiority and do not easily fit into a bigger social circle, making them actually quite antisocial. Maybe you want to rewind this back at a later stage because, whoa, these are heavy types to be around. It's really tough stuff. And all these guys, now I'm coming slowly to the end of that stuff here right now. There's a health risk involved. Of course, the health risk. We have got procrastination. Is it a health risk? Many people say it's a health, it's not something, but as I described earlier, procrastination can cause issues at work. It's more the socially accepted norm. People always say, hey, I'm a procrastinator, or I just don't get started. Or if you are in an interview situation and the interviewer asks you about what's your issue, sometimes you say sometimes, well, I'm procrastinating sometimes because, hey, I want to be perfect my stuff and I'm not getting started sometimes. So it's a tough start. Sometimes migraines, because there's so much stress imposed on themselves, they get constant headache migraines because of the expectation they're putting onto themselves and other people. Chronic pain, because negative emotions storing in the body can cause any type of pain in the body. Asthma, same thing, because all the negative emotion of trying, the stress exposed onto themselves can cause those kinds of perceived diseases. Alarmingly, also, stress, of course, we talked about stress, or no, I didn't talk about stress, but I just come back from a stress management seminar. Stress, which in ultimate return can cause anxiety, worry, anger, and fear if you are suffering under distress. Tough part to be in. Avoidance of issues, I've mentioned earlier, avoiding social circles, avoiding work sometimes. That's okay still. But then we've got health issues. Deep anxiety of not being good enough, of having this deep fear about something. Crippling anxiety, not knowing how to get started, and anxious about the future, anxious about the task, anxious about anything. On a higher level than already, depression because I can't make it anyway. Always being depressed because I want to be perfect, but I'm failing constantly. I'm focusing on what is not possible in my life. I wish I could, but I'm just not good enough. I'm failing constantly. Ultimately, even suicidal tendency and feelings of hopelessness. That is still the area that's getting researched along that line, but it's the health issues that are accompanying perfectionism. I hope I could make it clear to all you guys that all of that stuff is not easy to handle. Perfectionism, we are thinking like we want to be better than others, we want to get better and better, but there are people running around in our environment who are having those thoughts, who are constantly putting themselves down, who are constantly comparing themselves to other people, who are constantly not managing themselves. And they can fall in all kinds of terrible traps. This girl that I've mentioned earlier, she found her way around by trying to beat her perfectionism every single day still. By, for example, in that speech that she was holding, she would let her hair loose, saying, I don't want to have that perfect hair anymore. She took off one shoe. And walked around with one shoe only because she didn't want to have that perfect outfit anymore. She didn't prepare purposely for that speech. She winged it. It was a great speech. She winged it because she thought like, if I'm not making it happen, or I don't want to have that thought of not being able to make it happen. I want to expose myself to that situation of possibly failing. Then it will be possible for me to learn to live with my perfectionism. So yes, how do we do this now? What can we do with? How can NLP help us with this? Its needs, of course, NLP is perfect as a tool, and timeline therapy, and of course, hypnosis in helping you to get rid of your perfectionism. Why that's the case? Because, first of all, you need a massive beliefs change about yourself to find out that limiting belief not being good enough, to find out that belief failure is not an option, to find out that belief like I can't make it happen in my life, to find out all those limiting beliefs, that feelings of abandonment that happened many times. I read this kind of perfectionism has been caused by feelings of abandonment and fear and pressure in young ages. So letting go of those limiting beliefs and negative emotions through something called timeline therapy techniques or NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, really needs to massively work on these beliefs installations. You must teach those people on letting go of procrastination. It's an easy technique actually, but it's not a standalone technique in this kind of situation. Procrastination is through chaining anchors, but helps to get rid of procrastination. What did I say right now? Procrastination is through chaining anchors. No, chaining anchors can get let go through. Procrastination can be let go through chaining anchors. It's a technique. But of course, along that line, you need to have more interventions from NLP on beliefs change, on self-acceptance, or maybe even self-love. You talked about a little bit about it last week on what needs to be done with regard to self-love, self-acceptance. So these are the tools, and then hypnosis, of course, to get back onto these time frames or timeline therapy as well, where you installed all those perfectionistic tendencies within yourself. So these tools are fantastic in order to help you find a better life, letting go of those inner pressure. And of course, this mental pattern as well of judgmentalism, judging yourself, feeling judged by other people, judging other people, these three personality types. Very useful in order to NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis to battle those limitations within yourself. Because you got to understand, life is a journey. Life is about learning every day about yourself. Life is about giving up the hope that there's perfection, because there is no perfection. It's only about gaining wisdom, gaining experiences, gaining better, but in a healthy manner, in an ecological manner, as we like to say in NLP, to take care of your body, of your mental state, of the people around yourself. That's what NLP is all about. So if you guys, any of you, feel addressed by some of those descriptions I gave you about the challenges faced through perfectionism, if you are procrastinating too much, if you are suffering under anxiety, depression, of those limiting beliefs, reach out to us, talk to us here in Asia Mind Dynamics. Let's see how we can assist you, work with you, give you advice on working with you to access more positive resources within yourself. This is it for today. Andreas here from Asia Mind Dynamics with a, I hope, wonderful session on perfectionism, the dark side of being perfect. I'll see you next week, and enjoy for those of you who are celebrating it, it's a holiday. Enjoy this beautiful holiday today. I'll see you next week, and remember, you can create the life that you want to experience. Bye bye.